reduce this a little bit. Good. All right, so it's so good to have you here again today. Today, I want to be talking about something very important, and it is about F1 visa renewal. Majorly, this is targeting those who are actually in the US, those who already have their F1 visa, and then who are looking to renew that visa because there will be situations where you will have to renew that visa, okay, eventually. 1 minute, guys. Let me quickly do something. Um, okay, because there will definitely be situations where you have to renew that visa, and eventually, for example, I've had friends who have probably had to travel to different places before they could renew their visa, and I've seen those who made mistakes, and that can be very expensive, very costly. I've seen those who made terrible mistake that was very costly to them, and then eventually, for some are still trying to get to their on their feet come now because of the mistake they have made, and that's why I'll be making this video. All right, and one of the questions I've received from people here is this: I want to renew my visa, or I want to change my visa. And I've talked about how to change from F2 visa to F1 visa before. Of course, if you have not seen that video, try and get it. In this discussion, I will also try to talk about that briefly because it all comes down to the same thing. It comes into each other. Now, as you all know, if you already have a US visa, and even if you don't know, because you might probably need this video later, if you have a US visa from Nigeria, for example, what you will have is a 2-year visa. That's what you'll be given. It's a 2-year visa. And with that 2-year visa, what that simply means is that after 2 years, you have lost the ability to be able to travel out of the US and come back without having to, what's the word now? And come back without having to stand in for an interview. So if you have to travel out of the US, you definitely have to do an interview before you come back into the US. So sometimes people need to do visa renewal. And again, people want to travel to other countries. For example, let's say you have a conference in, let's say Europe, Canada, so to speak. You always need a visa to come back into the US. So you need to be able to renew your visa. So before I go to changing from F2 to F1, let me just talk about visa renewal briefly. What I've seen many people in the US do is this: they travel to neighboring countries to the United States, countries that are bordering the United States. And when I talk about such countries, what I mean is they go to countries like Canada, they go to countries like Mexico, and then they go to countries like Dominican Republic and the likes, and they go there and they're able to renew their visa. And what they simply need to do is just to apply for an interview there. Okay, they will apply as a third party. That's what you definitely have to do. You apply as a third party, and then you go there, and then you're able to renew the visa. Of course, they ask you questions, normal questions they ask those who are going for an interview for the first time. And since you're already living here in the United States, since you're already here, they also ask questions about, okay, so about your studies. Sometimes they can ask how long it takes, how long do you still have. They ask questions about finances, your finances. They ask questions about what else they ask. Sometimes apartments where you stay and all those things, just to be sure you are doing, you are on track. They want to know that you are on track actually. Now, in a situation where you want to renew, now, and I'll come back to mistakes people have made before, which I have seen. Okay, terrible mistakes that I've seen. In fact, let me talk about the mistakes now. One of the mistakes I've seen people make when trying to go for a visa interview is when they have issues on ground here, which is not cleared, which has not been cleared, and they go outside of the United States. Okay, for example, if you have some applications on ground, even if you look at the USCIS the USCIS manual, they will talk about the fact that if you are applying for OTP, for example, OPT, for example, optional practical training. OPT, for those who don't know what OPT means, OPT simply means that it's optional practical training, and what it simply means that after you have finished your degree, maybe you've gotten a master's degree or a PhD degree or something like that, and then you want to transition into a role, another role, not as a student, but you want to take a role, start working. Okay, so the United States have what they call OPT, which gives you like 2 years to start working. Okay, you start working 2 years, and then for 2 years, and within those 2 years, you can even find jobs, change visa status from F1 to maybe H1B, if you get a job, or if they do permanent residence for you, or whichever role you switch to. So the US as such. So one of the USCIS policy is that if you what's the word now, if you are applying, if you are in the process of making those applications, let me reduce this thing a little bit. Yeah, okay, okay. So one of their what do you call it now, um, guidelines that if you are in the process of making those applications, it's better not to travel outside of the United States. And I've seen a lot of people make that mistake. I've seen some people make that mistake. It's better not to travel outside the United States. Again, it's also very risky if you are almost, at least I know one or two people, like two, I think I know one person, I've heard of 2 or 3 more people who, when they traveled outside the United States, they could not come back into the country. They could not come back into the country. So you have to take this very seriously. Now, you should not travel when you are doing that process. That's one of the USCIS policy, that when you are doing the OPT process, you should not travel outside of the United States. It's not safe. In fact, they will tell you that you cannot start the process of OPT outside of the United States. Okay, so it's better to get the decision, you know what is going on already on ground. When you are close to your OPT, to start your OPT, you should not travel outside the United States, because you cannot start the process. When you are also close to graduating, let's say you have few months to go, few months to graduate. Let's say you have few months to graduate, and you travel outside of the United States, and your visa is expired. That will be a problem, because to come back, number one, you have to renew your visa. Wherever you are, you have to go to the embassy there. Of course, you have to secure date, blah, blah, blah. Of course, that's a different old video entirely to talk about how to secure dates. Now, when you get there, what the VO will look at, these are the things. Let me tell you the way the VO is thinking. The VO is looking at you. You have 3 months to finish your studies. Now you're outside of the United States. So the VO is thinking, if I give this guy a visa, that, let's say, 2-year visa in Nigeria, they give 2-year visa. That's what they usually give. So the viewer is thinking, if I give this guy a 2-year visa, in 3 months, he will finish his studies. What happens to the 1 year, 9 months? Okay. The viewer is thinking, like, what happens to the 1 year, 9 months? Should I just wait? Should I just grant this visa? Okay. The viewer is thinking again, is there an option for this guy to finish his degree online? Blah, 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 blah. Now, a whole lot of things comes in that complicates the whole issue. Okay. And then you just don't want to fall into that kind of situation. So if I were advise such a person, I'll say, don't even travel in that kind of situation where you know that you're almost finishing your studies. Okay, don't even travel in that kind of situation. You want to stay inside and then do whatever conversion you have to do. And remember, USCIS policy, you cannot kickstart it outside of the United States. You cannot kickstart your OPT outside of the United States. That's the USCIS policy. That's what they say. So it's very important to be very careful. But of course, when you still have time on your side, when your visa expired after 2 years, let's say you are doing your PhD program and your visa expires after 2 years, or let's say I was speaking with my Ugandan friend yesterday, and he was telling me that in Uganda, in Nigeria, they give us 2-year visa. In Uganda, they give them 1 year. They give them 1 year visa. In Ghana, they give them 5 years. So during your PhD program as a Ghanaian, you might not even need to change to renew your visa at all. No wonder you see your Ghanaian friend, they've traveled back to Ghana, they are back into the country. But if you're in a situation where your visa has expired and you need to go in and come back, so you have those options open to you to either go to Mexico. People go to Mexico. Okay. In fact, one of the reasons why people go to Mexico, I can't remember. With your US visa, I think you can travel into Mexico. Okay. Then Dominican Republic, I can't remember. I will have to confirm about Dominican Republic too, with a US visa, if you can go in or not. Some countries it's so easy to just start to navigate their visa system to go in and come. For Canada, for example, if you want to go and renew your visa in Canada, you will need a Canadian visa. You will need to apply for your Canadian visa before you can go in there to uh, to do your, what do you call it now, to get your visa, to register for a new visa. In fact, let me quickly check if you can go into uh, if you can go into Mexico and the Dominican Republic just with your US visa. It seems it's one of the things I've seen. Let me check some of my chats with someone who went recently. Okay, the person went from the US to Dominican Republic and then went for an interview there. So let me check our last chat on that. I think he didn't have to do any interview, any visa application for Dominican Republic before he went there. Um, and of course, we've seen situations where people go to some of these countries and they hang there and they have to travel back to Nigeria. Very terrible situation, very terrible situation, very terrible situation. And there are those who are still trying to fight it currently, still trying to fight the decision of the VO, okay, in that situation. Some are still trying to fight it. Dominican Republic. Dominican Republic. Okay. Yeah, just trying to see. And okay. 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 Well. Okay, I'm not sure I can really find that, but I think I can. But just no, of course, you just have to check. Just have to check. I can't really say for sure now. And I know a lot who have gone to Mexico too, and they were able to do their visa, renew their visa, and come back. And for those who are on F2 who want to transfer to F1 too, these are some of the things. It's just the same process. Just apply for the visa in that country. Now you may see some countries that will say they don't do um, what do you call it now? They don't do for third party countries, blah blah blah. I don't think that is the case for Mexico and Dominican Republic, that I know. Even Canada too, you can go there and do interview. In fact, from the report of those who have gone to these places to do interview, the report is that they actually were able to, they even separated them there. They even separated those who are third party countries or third country. I don't know the way they use that word. Those who are citizens of Mexico, for example, on one side, those who are out from other nationalities on another side, and they attended to them separately. And the interviews were very smooth, very, very smooth, no problem at all. So I think it's what you can do. For F2, of course, you have the option of staying inside the country and say, oh, I don't want to travel out of the country. I want to stay inside, and you apply to USCIS for a change of status. That's also possible. But what we have noticed over time is that for some time, uh, for some time now, they've not been. It's been taking so long for them to attend to people. USCIS, the delay time is huge. The delay time is huge uh, for those who want to do it internally, those who don't want to travel out of the country. Another option, of course, is to travel back to Nigeria. I have a lot of people, I know a lot of people travel back to Nigeria so that they can renew their visa. My own very good friend went back to Nigeria some times ago to renew his visa. And went there, of course, greeted family, blah, blah, and went there, renewed the visa. It was fast. Now that they are even doing Dropbox, if you go back to Nigeria to say you want to renew your visa, what you just need to do is Dropbox. You don't even need to say you want to attend an interview again. So far, your visa expired within 2 years, within the past 2 years, within a certain number of years. So that is also very, very possible if you are doing it from your home country. But if you have to travel to another country, people just go there and have to attend the interview in other countries. That's what they do. But if you have the money, let's say you're in the US, you have the money, you have the time, you have the luxury of time, and you can go back to Nigeria. That's a good option for a lot of people because, again, when they get there, if you're in your own country, all you just need to do is drop box. That's what a lot of people do. And it's what initially it would have been attending interview. One of my friends, before they brought back this Dropbox, he had to attend interview again. Okay, he had to attend an interview again. And I know a lot of people want to avoid attending interviews again. So, but now, if you go back to your home country, let's say Nigeria, Ghana, Cameroon, Senegal, whatever your country is, when you go back to your home country, India, I think you can do Dropbox now, okay, in renewing the visa. But if you don't want to go back to your home country, you want to do it outside somewhere else, somewhere close to the US, then I think you have to be ready for an interview. And if you are changing from F2 to F1, same process, just apply for F1 interview. The questions will be normal questions in addition to what you were doing while you were on F2. Okay, those will be the questions: where you live, blah blah blah. My wife, for example, did F2 to F1. Those were some of the questions she was asked. A lot of questions about her life, what she's been doing, blah 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 blah. And I also know someone who stayed inside the US. The person said, I don't want any trouble, I don't want any wala, I don't want to travel out of the US. And the person just went stay inside the US and then applied to USCIS for a change of status. And it took a while, okay, before they responded to her. It took a while, it took some months, but eventually they responded to her and they granted her the change of status from F2 to F1. I know someone who has changed from F1 to F2 before too. Okay, the person went to Canada, changed it to F2 because the person's husband is on F1. She just finished that program and then she had to remain and change it to F2. So different ways, different direction. You see different people doing different things. But the purpose of this is just to tell you to be safe while doing this. It's very important that you are safe. You don't want to fall into the situation where you will hang in a country and then you have to travel over. Let's say you hang in Dominican Republic or Canada or Mexico, or because the visa official did not grant you your visa, because the visa official is looking at you like, what is this? Like, it's looking at your profile and it's looking at things not matching, or it's saying, oh, this person just have a few months to go. Sometimes you don't know how they process some of these things. You don't know how they think, how they reason with all of these things, and you want to be really, 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 really careful. You want to be really, really, really careful. It's very important. All right, all right, all right. I think this is a good place to stop. I have just few people watching. If you have any question, of course, related to anything, you can drop it in the chat box. I will attend to the question. Any question at all, you can drop it in the chat box. I will attend to it. Okay, okay, okay. It seems there will be no question. All right, that's nice. That's nice. All right, no question, no question, no question. All right, if no question, let me say thank you for my few folks who have joined, who have joined there. Thank you so much for joining in. God bless you, real good. Make sure you have a nice night. Ciao.